I don't know if you know this, but Marjorie Taylor Greene has a horrible case of crypto. It's oh, it's when your feet look like um are so gnarly that a mummy would go bleh. This is I thought in keeping with the theme this week, and we're gonna revisit another chapter of 2000 Mules today, and I've of course got Don Jr.'s reaction to the fact that his dad is inching closer and closer to indictment, and the stress alone must be enormous. Um, this is the Blaze, and the Blaze describes it. What the hell happened to my? What the heck? What in the Sam Hill? There you go. There was a big like one of these days I'll have a real studio, kids. Marjorie Taylor Greene, wonderfully is here to give us all what for, tell us all what's up, and and why we don't need to see the January 6th committee. You know what I mean? It's all going to be lies anyways, and you don't learn anything from watching someone lie, which is actually bullshit because my entire show is almost predicated on me watching someone lie and giving you my take on it. It's kind of fascinating that it's actually quite helpful to watch the other side's argument, and not in a filtered sense. I mean, obviously, I'm stopping along the way, but not in a clipped, out of context way. So you can see not only that they're lying assholes, but they're gigantic lying assholes. This is getting the analogies, and every analogy eventually dies. My father, when I was growing up, I used to call him an asshole connoisseur because one of his favorite predicate, his favorite, like, I guess, categorizations was the eternal question: what kind of an asshole would ... You know, what kind of an asshole would wear a shirt like that? What kind of an asshole drives in the middle? What kind of you know what I mean? And the answer was precisely that form of asshole, Dad. It was a weird conversation to have with your father. So she apparently, I don't know if you know this, but Democrats sat stunned. You can see them. They're all in these seats. By the way, sit stunned as MTG discusses new facts that have come out on Jan 6 is the title of this thing. Now, she's got time to speak. She's allotted. And that time is uninterrupted. That's the purpose. They're not stunned. They're observing the rules. Now, when it comes to somebody like MTG or Lauren Boebert, we often know that in spite of the rules, they will often, get all wrapped up in a big jibber jabber and not be able to sit still. So I'm curious. Yeah, so we'll see. I want to see what the new facts were. New facts ready to go. And I'm sure, I apologize ahead of time if I have no retorts about this, because I may apparently end up sitting stunned during the whole thing if she shows her feet.
I really appreciate you bringing up these very important details that I highly doubt we will hear anything about from the January 6th committee.
Yep. Whatever these details are, we're not going to hear anything about
them. There's some very interesting facts that came out today, as a matter of fact.
Today? What are the odds?
Reporting on the failure of this chamber, this Capitol to be secured. And I want to...
So it was a failure it was a defensive failure. And I'm glad she brings this up. Now, I know I'm not sitting stunned like I'm supposed to, but in retrospect, I guess we're all, she's way too loud, I beg your pardon. That's because we had to turn the audio up because of Dinesh's thing. Sorry, fixing.
I'm going to tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Now we know that anytime Trump has a gathering, there should be a necessary amount of security in case any of his group decides to break away and try to kill people. So, but then I think everybody was assuming, kind of like pre 9/11, that most airplanes weren't going to crash into the Twin Towers. Knowing what we had now, we could have, this is her basic suggestion is it's the Twin Towers' fault for not having anti-aircraft batteries around them.
On January 6th, I was a brand new member of Congress, and I want
And yet it still felt old already.
you to know,
How many days had you been here, Representative Greene?
January 3rd was my first day on the job.
So you've been here 3 days.
That's right,
Okay.
3 days.
Jesus Christ, she can't speak on her own? Does she have a spotter? What's happening?
All right.
And I looked at the Capitol and thought this was the most.
All right, Marge, we talked about this in committee. You'll have time to talk, but you're going to have somebody out there to keep you on fucking track so you don't go into cuckoo land, okay? And yeah, I said cuckoo.
Secure building that I could possibly be in at least in this city, possibly in the country, because it's our nation's capital.
And the assumption is that the where there might be a terrorist attack, we certainly have a certain resilience against like airplanes flying into the space without clearance and bomb sniffing dogs and all kinds of shit. We're not really built at this point to deal with attacks by the sitting president's psycho followers. We're fixing that, but it's kind of a new problem.
And tragically, we found out it was not, and I was shocked by that.
I was shocked that I was shocked that I had to tell the rioters where we were hiding. Me and Lauren were trying to tell them where, like, it was all, we were saying, oh, we'll know they've got a system where the speaker goes in this little room, and she goes, I was asking questions. Where does Pelosi go, like, if there's an attack, hypothetically? Where would she be sent to? And they sent her somewhat place else, and I was having to tweet in the middle of it.
What amazes me is
intellectual curiosity. No.
The overwhelming amount of evidence that the National Guard was requested to be here, and it was continuously turned down. And the biggest shocker to me is that there's 3 people.
It's the biggest shocker to me is that nobody knew that Trump's supporters were violent psychopaths who were going to attack the building. I mean, what kind of an idiot doesn't realize that if you have a Trump rally that close to the Capitol, you're going to need tens of thousands of National Guard troops because he's a fucking psychopath and his followers are insane. I mean, look, I got voted on his ticket. I know that.
3 people that turned it down. It was Chuck Schumer in the Senate, Nancy Pelosi in the House, and Mayor Muriel Bowser.
If I could interject for just a moment, who,
if I could stop you just there, if I don't mind, this feels like a timeshare sales pitch. Now, I'm just a regular guy off the street, but I've got some questions for you. If you could answer them, I'd be glad to. I feel like you'd be glad to. Anybody selling such a great product sounds like a decent human being to me. Now, let me ask you a question. Would a guy like me feel comfortable in a prefab neighborhood like this? I'm an outdoorsy guy. Well, as a matter of fact, we do have indoor ski slopes. They're only 8 feet, and there is a fairly steep and hard wall at the end of it, but that's, 2.5 seconds of bliss. Thanks so much.
who's in charge of security here in the House of Representatives?
The Sergeant at Arms, and that would be
employed
Nancy
by,
Pelosi.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi.
The Speaker.
The Speaker of the House.
Again, what the fuck is this? I think they're stunned by the idiocy of this. Like, this is one of the, like, Your Honor, Mr. President, I would, point of order, do you want to call for a floor vote? No, I would just like to ask for my check. We've decided to skip dessert. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Is the one in charge of that.
Yes, and why didn't Nancy Pelosi know that Trump was going to send his supporters down there with the Proud Boys to attack the fucking place? I mean, yeah, it's obvious to anyone. I mean, in retrospect.
The House Sergeant at Arms. And the House Sergeant at Arms and the Senate Sergeant at Arms
weren't interested in Trump loyalist National Guards people from all over the country being bussed up here from fucking Texas and a bunch of red states that Donald Trump very possibly lost in the election, but managed to, I guess, pad the voter rolls so that he, and fake some ballots. so that he could save himself from the embarrassment of losing the popular vote again, and still ended up, not even crossing the threshold in a bunch of those states. And luckily, a bunch of his fake votes in red states actually kept him from losing.
Turn down the request for the National Guard to keep all of us safe
from Trump supporters,
from the threats that they knew existed.
Are we
the threats that they knew existed. They knew Trump was a sore loser. They knew he was a complete asshole. They knew he was unpresidential, psychotic, lonely, has low self-esteem, can't handle losing, and his followers like him for all those reasons. How did they not know he was going to race up to the Capitol and grab it by the pussy? I mean, seriously.
going to find out if they got ordered to do that by the Speaker?
Yeah, they got a stand-down order. This is like Benghazi, the Capitol edition.
Or by the leader in the Senate?
When
We're going to find that out tonight?
No, we will not hear that from the January 6th committee that has spent millions of taxpayer dollars supposedly investigating January 6th. I highly doubt we will hear that.
Yeah. Why are they looking for the rapist and trying to charge him with crimes and looking at his history and his love letters and his stalking and all the stuff that showed that he was planning this and he was going to do it? Why are they looking at that and not looking at what she was wearing on that day? Okay? The question is, why wasn't the victim strapped with a bazooka at the time? Why did she think she had the right to just go about her business? It is not, why don't you just ring the dinner bell?
But I want you to know that when we take back majority, these will be the investigations that we take on. Now, I want you to know some other things that really...
You're going to investigate why... well, I'll tell you what you'll find out is that the sergeant at arms asked for more Capitol Police, and they eventually got them or whatever, and they were on standby and the like, but that the National Guard troops were turned away because they were oddly chosen from states that Trump had won and were aligned with the governors who had filed a lawsuit against Georgia and other swing states to try and toss the election his way. And there was a bit of concern that there'd be a bit of like militia bullshit going on, and this would be the day they would help take it was bad enough that they had the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, who were part of some of these militias, showing up there in an unofficial capacity. Imagine if they're like, "Hey, Gary, good to see you. What's happening, Frank? Let's get the fuck in there and do this."
Bother me, as we've spoken about the failure and absolutely purposeful refusal to protect this Capitol.
Yeah. How we need to impeach Nancy Pelosi on the premise that she did not take the threat of Donald Trump to this country seriously enough. So says MTG. Fucking hell.
By Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, and Mayor Muriel Bowser. These are the failures. They did it on purpose. There's other things I don't think we'll hear about tonight, and I want to remind everyone.
Great. Yes. Number one is that Nancy Pelosi, in her, because she's young and naive, did not believe that while Trump supporters would be assholes and whatnot, did not believe that they would actually charge the fucking place, take a dump in the rotunda, carry in a Confederate flag, set up a gallows and attempt to shoot her and hang the vice president. I don't know why she didn't think this. I don't know why it was. Honestly.
Number one.
It's actually number two, but most of your reasons are.
We still do not know who the pipe bomber is.
We do have some ideas. Apparently they were speaking on a Reddit thread and they called themselves Funky Feet.
Who is the person? There are videos everywhere. It's all over the FBI website.
There's not videos everywhere. There's 2 videos.
But we don't hear that coming out consistently from the January 6th.
Consistently? I think it's going to be a part of it. They're looking for it. We're pretty sure it was Charlie Kirk in MTG drag.
Committee. You know what else we don't hear enough about?
What else don't we hear enough about? Why Trump had every right to plant pipe bombs and attack the Capitol.
We do not understand
basic English.
What is happening to the over 800 people who have been arrested and charged for the events on January 6th?
Sure you do. A lot of them were turned loose. The ones that weren't, it was because there was extenuating circumstances specific to their behavior or the level of crime that they had committed. They all have representation that they either are paying for is provided by the state. And if they're incarcerated and can't make bail, it's because their bail was set at a high enough number because they were considered a danger going forward, and they're being held pre-trial because they're considered a threat to public safety. What part of that is hard to grasp?
We don't know what is happening to them, and there are dozens of them right here in this city wasting away in the
wasting away. I did not realize you got margaritas in the actual DC jail.
DC jail, being treated like political prisoners of
No, they're just
war.
No, they're being treated like common criminals. Actually, they're the only thing that makes them special in the jail at all is the fact that is sort of why they're there. But every other thing that they're being, every other aspect of their treatment is identical to people who are there for assault or rape or robbery with an armed robbery specifically, or suspicion of murder or something like that, or attempted murder, which is in alignment with the activity of the people who are actually still incarcerated.
And you know what? This is before they have been convicted of anything.
Yeah, it's called pretrial detention because they're dangerous. Yeah, a bunch of them walked. 2 people beating one of the cops. One of them went home already. One of them is in jail. Why? Because he told the judge, like, if you let me out, I'll do it again. Fuck yeah. I was acting on behalf of the president. All right, we can't let you go. What about you, sir? Nah, I was caught up in bullshit. He's nuts. I wouldn't do that again. That's fucking crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. And I'm standing there going, what am I doing? And, but I mean, obviously I'm going to have the trial, but I wouldn't do that. Mercy of the court, Your Honor. All right. We'll put an ankle monitor on you. You can go home.
They are there pre-trial, and no one cares about them. No one on this January 6th committee dares to ask a question, what is happening to these people?
Well, it's because we know what's happening. We have a judicial system. What the fuck are you talking about? Honest to God, I don't know what, the level of ignorance about this is stunning. They're in jail. They committed a violent crime. The judge in that particular, in their particular individual case, unlike some of the others that were allowed to go home, went, fuck, this person is dangerous. You need to stay in jail until we can either you secure your release with some sort of collateral that we actually think has some fucking meaning to you, where you won't just amscray or go out in a hail of bullets like some nutcase, or you just stay here until we put you on trial. Like, what the fuck? What does she give a shit about everybody else who's, has pre-trial detention?
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly.
I love the smell of due process rights in the morning. Really? Really?
These people, and why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated pre-trial. Pre-trial, they are sitting in that jail. Do you know they have begged to go to Guantanamo Bay because they think terrorists are treated better than they are?
Yeah, we know. They're morons, Marge. Flagrantly. They are being flagrantly denied their rights. They're begging to go to Guantanamo because not only do they believe all the bullshit Donald Trump told them about their own fucking government, but they also believe that, Gitmo is full of fucking baby eaters and they've never had baby before. And does it taste like pork or chicken? I've always wondered.
They are treated there.
That's because you're stupid. You're fucking moron. You're not treated better. Okay, by the way, allow them. I would say, to save DC money, if any of these assholes want to go to Guantanamo, good luck in your senior year. What the shit? This is how, and by the way, they're very asking for this, shows you how inserious they are as human beings. Yes, that is Dog the Bounty Hunter self that's talking.
But no one cares about them. These people have been arrested and charged, and they're wasting in jail. You want to know?
Yes, they've been arrested and charged, and they're being kept in jail because they have been judged to be a flight risk or a danger to the community, and because they are unrepentant psychopaths who all they want is another shot at the Capitol. The fuck? Where do you think you're going, dummy?
I know something else that we're probably not going to hear about.
I don't know how fragrantly there no one oh, sorry. I don't know. What's your third one?
What about the fact that there's a man named Ray Epps? Do you know who's not in the DC jail?
Ray Epps, right.
Ray Epps. Ray Epps is not in the DC jail.
Yeah, Ray Epps didn't beat a cop. Ray Epps didn't actually enter the building. And so far as I know, Ray Epps may have been an instigator, is the idea. Yeah, here you go. In case you don't know, they throw this shit up. I mean, dude, even Tucker Carlson was doing this bullshit. Hold on, I gotta slide this over so it fits. This is the Ray Epps bullshit. Recordings released to defense lawyers directly challenge assertions by prominent Republicans that an Arizona man named Ray Epps was a federal informant and helped start the Capitol riot. And again, the argument still being here, kind of like why didn't Nancy Pelosi know we were a bunch of fucking nutcases? How come she didn't surround the place with mines? The same thing is true of Ray Epps. Like, this guy is basically a fucking hypnotist. If he hadn't said storm the Capitol, we wouldn't have done it. Prominent Republicans, including former President Donald J. Trump, prominent, have for months promoted a conspiracy theory that an Arizona man named Ray Epps was a federal informant who helped to instigate the attack on the Capitol on Jan 6. Again, he told us to jump off the cliff, Your Honor. He was captain of the Lemming Squad. The claims made in congressional hearing rooms, on Fox News, and at Trump's political rallies have largely been based on a video taken just before the violence erupted at the Capitol, showing Mr. Epps at the barricades outside the building, whispering into the ear of a man named Ryan Samsel. That guy, he basically told him to knock it off, that the cops were doing their job, and that's what that guy said. Within moments of the brief exchange, Mr. Samsel, a Pennsylvania barber, can be seen moving forward and confronting the police in what amounted to be the tipping point of the riot. And again, what the fuck is he? The riot whisperer? How is he? At what point? You can't sue gun manufacturers who have ads about your AR-15. Who needs a dick? But this guy whispers in one guy's ear, and we're like, why aren't we locking this guy up? Besides, it's a violation of free speech. Like, whispering is not covered by free speech, y'all. All right. Despite lacking proof of their claims, when has that ever stopped them? Many Republicans have surmised that Mr. Epps instructed Mr. Samsel to antagonize the officers. They have also pushed the notion that Mr. Epps has not been arrested. He must have been working for the government. But for more than a year, well before the name Ray Epps was widely known in right-wing circles, federal authorities have had information from both him and Mr. Samsel suggesting that he was not a government agent and did not encourage the younger man to engage with the police that day. This is fun. Just 2 days after the attack, when Epps saw himself on a list of suspects, he called an FBI tip line and told instigators he'd try to calm Mr. Samsel down when they spoke. According to 3 people who had heard a recording of the call, Mr. Epps went on to say that he had explained to Mr. Samsel the police outside the building were just doing their jobs, the people said. Then in late January of last year, in an interview with the FBI, Mr. Samsel said much the same thing, telling investigators that a man he did not know came up to him at the barricades and suggested he relax, according to the interview obtained by the New York Times. He came up to me and he said, dude, his entire words were, relax. The cops are just doing their job. The theories surrounding Epps have been debunked before, most notably after he spoke last year to investigators working with the House Select Committee examining the Jan 6 attack. During the interview, of course, he went from being the riot whisperer to the worst anti-riot whisperer in history. It did not work. Still, the rumors about him have persisted. Okay, I mean, Oh, and there's okay. Last month, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, representative of Georgia, mentioned Mr. Epps and his supposed role in fomenting the Capitol riot during a hearing in Atlanta held to determine whether she could be labeled an insurrectionist barred from the Constitution. Yeah, that was in her. We covered that. Recordings of Mr. Epps and Samsel were released by the government last week as a discovery disclosure to scores of defense lawyers representing people charged with the crimes in the connection with the attack. A spokesman for the Justice Department declined to comment on why prosecutors have held on to the material so long and decided not to make it public. Right-wing chatter about Mr. Epps, who is 60 and runs a wedding and event venue in Queen Creek, Arizona, began last spring after videos of him at a pro-Trump rally in Washington started to circulate online. Aside from the clip with Mr. Samsel, Epps was caught on video standing in a crowd of Trump supporters on the night of Jan 5th, urging his campaigners to go into the Capitol the next day. At a hearing in October, Representative Thomas Massie showed the clip of Epps encouraging the crowd and used it to question Merrick Garland on whether federal agents had acted as agitators on Jan 6. And the idea is that he was clearly a Fed. That's why he asked people to go into the Capitol the night before and then told the dude not to bother the cops and said, dude, they're just doing their job the next day, because like all Trump fans, he is hypocritical and full of shit.
And I know because I went in the DC jail.
Yes, and I could I have a small request that the next time you go, hang out for a while.
I did not see him there. He also is on video over and over again telling people to go in the Capitol.
Once, actually, the night before.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear about Ray Epps this evening.
I don't think we're going to hear about Ray Epps. I don't think so. I don't think he's on the witness list. You know,
this is like it's like a debate team trying to do a vaudeville routine.
who else we probably won't hear about? The man on the scaffolding.
The man on the scaffolding. You know, that guy. The guy that was on the scaffolding of all the, I know what you're thinking. Weren't there lots of guys on the scaffolding? No. One guy.
The so-called scaffolding commander.
The so-called scaffolding commander. You know that guy. Nobody's talking about the scaffolding commander.
That told the crowd, told them, sent them, gave them orders to go in the Capitol.
And they had to follow them because he had he had a MAGA hat on and a bullhorn. And I mean, what are you going to do? Not commit a massive felony? The guy's got a bullhorn, okay? You're a Trump supporter. Basically, all you're hearing is mooing. You move through the hole in the fence.
Storm the Capitol. I haven't heard about him being questioned. Have you?
No, I have not.
No.
I'm sorry, was he a person of authority? I mean, you guys should know him, shouldn't you?
Oh, you want to know something else? Here's a woman
Who built the fucking gallows? That's what I want to know.
we don't hear anything about. A woman named Roseanne Boylan.
Roseanne Boylan.
That was trampled in the tunnel. Trampled to death. Mm-hmm. We never hear anything about this woman.
Yes, we do, actually. Right after this happened, hold on. There you go. This lady, yeah. Hold on. Where's I want to see the date on this one. There you go. Here we go. How about this? Nobody even gives a shit about this woman. The news didn't even cover this, except when they did on January 15th, 2021, and then they updated again May 31st. Roseanne Boylan, a 34-year-old Trump supporter from Georgia who died, and you know what that means. She was at the Capitol. She was undercover Antifa, who died during an attack at the Capitol, appears to have been killed in a crush of fellow rioters during their attempt to fight through a police line, according to videos reviewed by The Times. So, wait a minute. So, how is Nancy Pelosi to blame for Trump supporters trampling one of their own? Though videos have circulated widely, Ms. Boylan's presence in them had gone unnoticed until now, and the manner of her death had previously been unclear. The video showed her body on the ground just outside the door on the Capitol's west side. That was the scene of some of the day's worst violence. Her clothes and backpack strap in the videos matched those she was wearing in a picture of her taken earlier that day, and two witnesses, one of whom tried to help her, gave similar accounts of her death. Ripped jeans, backpack. The most ironic flag ever. We live in a simulation. We have to. Sorry, that's fucked up. I've never seen that picture before. That is ridiculous. I'm not laughing at her death. I'm just like, that's just fucking absurd. I'm sorry. It's just awful. She's carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" flag at a Trump rally, and Trump supporters trampled her to death. Fuck me. That is ridiculous. Read the update. Okay. This is really sad too, because fuck. I mean, what are you doing there, lady? Here's how the fatal rush unfolded. Around 2:30 p.m., right after Trump was trying to figure out the best way to tell these assholes he loved them, on the west side of the Capitol, forced their way through the lines of the Metropolitan Police officers and swarmed to a second-level promenade. There they headed toward a door and tunnel traditionally used by presidents when they emerged for their inauguration. As soon as the crowd entered the tunnel, they were met by a line of riot police. Even as they began to push, a rioter could be heard on the video warning, "Stop pushing, someone's going to get hurt." Within an hour, the hallway became packed with rioters. Around 2:50, an independent photojournalist, John Farina, entered and began filming. The mob, which can be seen massed together in a dangerous crush, attacked officers and attempted to use the weight of their combined bodies to push the officers back, trapping many people in the process. Both sides filled the air with chemical irritant sprays. They fired back and forth. The battle inside continued for another hour as new arrivals eagerly joined the line of rioters filing into the packed hallway to replace those who were injured or tired. Visible among those new arrivals is Miss Boylan, identifiable in a YouTube video wearing her American flag sunglasses, packed amid the crowd surging towards the door. Justin Winchell, a friend who attended the protest with her that day, is in the crowd as well, but cannot be seen in the video. At 4:19, the mob can be seen taking another push in. Nobody talked about this. Nobody even reported on this. I don't know. Marge is right. There's not even any pictures. Especially the establishment Democrat liberal press like the New York Times. At 4:19, fucking tracking it minute by minute. The mob can be seen making another push into the doorway. Less than a minute later, the police push back, and the mob can be seen tumbling out of the door and down the steps. Mr. Winchell, in a bright blue hooded sweatshirt, is now just visible at the top of the steps. For the next 7 minutes, he can be seen pulling people away, appearing to search for Miss Boylan as rioters continue to tumble out the door. There is a lull in the fighting. The crowd chants, "I can't breathe," a rallying cry of Black Lives Matter protests. So let me get this straight. A group of maggots trampled a woman who was carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" flag to death, crushing her while yelling, "I can't breathe." It's unclear from the videos if Miss Boylan was alive at this time, but two rioters, one wielding a stick and the other a crutch, I remember them, launched a new attack on police at 4:27 p.m., making it virtually impossible for officers to give her aid if they were able to notice her at all. Boylan is visible in a video laying on her side in front of the door, her black hooded sweatshirt, arm, and face partially visible as men clash with police above her. This is her down here, I guess. Man reaches to help Boylan. In the chaos, two men spotted Miss Boylan on the ground, dragged her away from the door. The men laid Miss Boylan out on the steps and attempted to resuscitate her. At least two individuals can be seen on video providing CPR at the top of the steps. Another man wearing a purple jacket can be seen apparently negotiating with police so that the rioters can get Miss Boylan assistance. The fucking nerve. Roughly 2.5 minutes later, she's pulled away from the door. The men carried Miss Boylan back to the police line. Yeah, now you're asking the fucking police for help. Even as rioters continue to throw poles and other objects at the officers. At least two people present during the fighting at the door recounted on video how they had seen a woman being trampled in the mob. One man who live streamed under the name Villain Report, lovely, said in a YouTube video posted to his channel that he saw a woman collapse from an asphyxiation inside the tunnel. The man said he tried to feel the woman's pulse after she was dragged away from the door, but found nothing. A Times review of the videos confirmed that he had been among the men surrounding Boylan's body. By the time they decided to pick the person up and give them to a police officer, she had blue lips and blood was coming out of her nose. I don't think that person will be revived. In another video, a rider identified as 25-year-old Edward Jacob Lang also said he'd been seen a woman trampled in the hallway. In social media posts, Lang blamed the police for the stampede and shared images of himself participating in the fight at the door. Police and FBI agents arrested Lang from his home in Newburgh, New York on January 16th. Let me guess. He was released on his own recognizance. FBI arrests Orange County man seen in Capitol riot pictures he posted. There he is. Orange County police arrested a man for trying to post pictures on social media, including one that said, "This is me." That's a good answer for Dinesh D'Souza and his bullshit 1,000 years. How did they find these people so quickly? Because they fucking posted videos from the actual site that showed them at the Capitol, sweaty, fighting with cops, going, "This is me." FBI just showed up at Lang's home in Newburgh Saturday and took him into custody. They also executed a search warrant. Not announced specific charges, 1,000 supporters, law enforcement, blah, blah, blah. They updated it. No. Okay. So, nobody talked about her. What about her? Nobody's even asking about her. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I'm the only person I think that does these things long form. Yeah.
She died in the tunnel of this Capitol, and I saw the video myself when I was in the D.C. jail from one of the people being held there, pre-trial, by the way.
Oh, you mean one of the people who was near her, participated in the situation that caused her death? Let me introduce you guys to a concept. Let me introduce you to a concept that Marjorie Taylor Greene is for. This is from the Marshall Project, but in 2012, 4 teenagers and their 21-year-old friend decided to burgle a house in their hometown of Elkhart County, Indiana. No one in the group had any weapons, and they picked a house they thought was unoccupied. The homeowner was actually asleep upstairs and armed. When the 5 kicked down the back door, Rodney Scott came downstairs and fired his gun, killing 21-year-old Danzel Johnson and hitting another in the leg. The surviving members of the group, who became known as the Elkhart Four, were soon facing up to 55 years in prison for a murder they didn't plan, intend, or commit. The sentences were the result of a complicated and controversial statute called felony murder. Most states have some version of a felony murder law. This is where everybody who charged into the Capitol, especially the ones who were trying to break through barriers, are responsible under the felony murder laws for Ashley Babbitt's death. Such statutes allow for defendants to be convicted of murder and in some cases face execution if a death occurs because of a felony they commit, even if they were not the direct killer. This, by the way, is a law that this asshole is for. There is no situation where this idiot is not going to call for that exact thing. You barge into somebody's house, 5 of you, intending to burgle the place, and the person is armed, and they castle doctrine the fuck out of their living room and shoot one of you. The court in that area is going to charge the other people that were with the burglars with murder because you participated in a situation that got your friend killed because you were committing a felony at the time. And this idiot is absolutely for that. So she went to visit this asshole in the jail who was participating in the crush that killed this woman. And I mean, the irony stacking up in this case, in her recollection, is insane.
Of her body being dragged across the floor, and then
to the police by the rioters who got her killed, trying to seek help, while other maggots were attacking the cops.
It was taken somewhere else. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, they just took her somewhere else. What'd they do? Just take her to an incinerator?
When they were dragging her body away, they pulled her away from someone that was giving her CPR.
Who's they? The fuck do you mean they? So what? It was unsuccessful. She was not coming back. They needed more than somebody. They needed a fucking defibrillator, if anything, if she had any goddamn chance. Drag them. Yeah, they were busy working on her, and some asshole just came and snagged her. Who was it? Somebody from Pelosi's office? Was it AOC? Was it a bunch of like queer activists who decided to run down to the tunnel and like, that woman might live? Get her. Get the fuck out of here.
Pulled away from life-saving CPR.
What? What is wrong with you? Yes, this is why Democrats sit stunned as MTG discusses new facts and why they have to be in quotes that have come out on Jan 6. She was dragged initially to the police by other maggots, by other rioters who were like, fuck, this woman's dead and we can't save her. What the hell?
Why did that happen? Are we going to hear about that?
No, we're not. And by the way, why don't you ask one of the assholes in the DC jail? Did the guy that showed you the video show them what were they friends with the person who dragged the woman away from life-saving CPR? The hell?
From the committee tonight?
No, because you're a fucking lunatic.
I doubt it. They don't care about Roseanne Boylan.
By the way, there's a list of people who apparently don't care about Roseanne Boylan, and the congressional Democrats and the people on the Jan 6 committee who want to make sure that situations like that don't happen again, so there are no new Roseanne Boylans, are way down on the list, apparently, compared to the people at the top of the list who don't give a fuck about Roseanne Boylan, including you and all the people who like this coordinated attack on the Capitol and are upset it wasn't successful.
Here's my major issue.
Cognitive ability, cognitive dissonance, a smooth brain.
We are representatives of the people of the United States of America.
Well, your job is to be a representative. You're not representative of the general populace. Thank Jesus.
And all I hear from everyone in this body is all they care about is themselves.
Well, you only talk to Republicans, dummy. She literally does not communicate with Democrats. Of course that's all you only hang out with Matt Gaetz. Of course that's all you're fucking hearing. You're friends with Donald Trump. That's the only sentences they know. Fuckhead. These are, by the way, these are the same people who think it's a slam to call me a B, C, or D-list celebrity on social media, while at the same time saying all A-list celebrities are baby-eating pedophiles. So should I be thanking them, or is there... Only people I talk to, like I was just talking to this asshole, he didn't care about me.
The American people are suffering from so many things happening from the decisions of this body.
Or the lack of decisions, like running interference against common sense gun reform, for example.
But the people in this body and the people on that committee don't care about Roseanne Boylan from...
Well, they care about there not being any more Roseanne Boylans. You can't save Roseanne Boylan, but you can make sure there are no more. So that's a form of caring. It's beyond your comprehension. I recognize this. You're a dum-dum, but that's the point.
From Georgia, by the way. They don't care about her family.
Wait a minute. She was from Georgia?
Roseanne Boylan from Georgia, by the way.
You mean your state? Oh, then I'm sure, because it was your state, you're in the process of going on a long investigative journey about what brought her to that moment and how she ended up getting crushed in the first place by her fellow Trump supporters, and how those people rushed in alongside her, and what took her from your lovely state of Georgia to meet her demise in the Capitol tunnel.
They don't care about her family. They don't care about justice for them.
What do you mean justice? The asshole in jail who showed you video is partly responsible for her death, you fucking putz.
They don't care about anything else but, oh, what happened to us on January 6th?
All they're on about is they were going to shoot me. They were going to hang me. They were going to string me up. They were going to murder me. They won't go on. They don't care about one of the people that was there to murder them dying at the hands of the other people that were there to murder them. What? So selfish, y'all.
Well, what happened to the American cities in 2020 that were burned and looted?
I don't know. They don't exist anymore. They're basically like, Sevastopol or Mariupol at this point. I don't even know. Does LA even exist anymore? Has anybody seen Portland lately? We need to LoJack Portland. We keep losing it.
And
Portland isn't real, just like birds.
Destroyed because of BLM violence.
Right, and people who committed the violence could and should go to jail. That's not the same as the protests. And just like I'm making a distinction between the people who watch Trump are assholes nonetheless, but they went home. I don't have a problem with those fucking people. I mean, I think they're ridiculous, but I don't want them in jail or harmed in any way. And I make a distinction between those that were at the rally and left and those that were at the rally and attacked. This is a very important distinction. If you attacked, fuck you. Same thing with burning down buildings. Fuck you. Sorry. By the way, it's one of the reasons why I voted for Joe Biden. That was his attitude as well. Genuine protest is worthwhile. Once you start destroying property, you're the fucking problem, dummy. Same thing here, stupid. I'm not asking for them to fucking round up people who were there to hear the Link Greenwood song for the umpteenth fucking time.
Nothing.
Nothing? By the way, she's lying on the floor of the Congress.
All that money raised on Act Blue for BLM, it went in their pockets. No one paid to rebuild those communities.
So I see. So if you fundraise for the Red Cross, and the Red Cross isn't in the construction business, they're somehow responsible for the houses that go unrebuilt after a hurricane, even though their job is to deal with the people. All right.
Not at all. You know what else we probably won't hear about?
Adrenochrome.
Is Michael Byrd, who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt right out there.
Right. Actually, we probably will.
We don't hear about his reckless record of guns, which is all we've talked about all weekend here.
I'm sorry, there is no such thing as a reckless record of guns. Guns are never bad. They're always good. The only thing that can ever be bad about a gun is when it runs out of bullets and you don't have a giant magazine duct taped to the one that just emptied. I don't understand what you're talking about. So the problem isn't that he was reckless with his gun in the past. It was that he was not reckless with the volume and capacity that was necessary.
We aren't hearing about that. Why aren't we hearing about that record?
Well, because it's not germane to the circumstance, because what happened is on video and his job was to stop anyone from coming through that point. And there was an attack going on and they were evacuating people and it was his job to hold that line. She was the first one through the glass. Sorry. And by the way, she was the pipe bomber. That's why we don't know yet. It wasn't you. It was another blonde. It was Ashley Babbitt. Prove me wrong. I'm, of course, being facetious. The point being is that she had a backpack on like a bunch of these other people. Tell me what was in the backpack. Tell me what was in it as she was coming through the window. Tell me it didn't have pipe bombs. Tell me it didn't have a gun. You think they went through the fucking metal detectors when they came in? If you're the first person in an attack on the Capitol through a broken window to attack Congress, you're not there to give them a letter that you wrote about your needs as a constituent.
Why? Why isn't he standing trial?
because he was doing his duty and his job at that time, and it's abundantly clear that he was literally ordered to hold that line, and she crawled through a freshly bashed in window, and you can see them evacuating people in the back.
He's not.
Right.
He just gets to get away with it.
Weird.
Did you know, and it's on video, I bet you we won't see this video, but I've seen it and it's out there. Did you know Ashley Babbitt was trying to stop people from breaking in?
By what? Plugging the hole with her body?
That is on video. I've watched it over and over. She was trying to stop people from breaking in. And then
she was climbing up through the window with both hands. She wasn't going, get back. She was doing this.
Was shot and killed. Yes, a lot happened on January 6th. And
yeah, a lot of things happened. People had breakfast.
Here's my question. You know what else? And the American the
taxpayer, look, if I could pay my taxes in urine right now, lady, I would gladly pay your salary. No, it's just fine.
Taxpayers pay for this. There's surveillance cameras all over this building.
Right.
If we really want to know the truth about January 6th, it's real easy. All we have to do is release the video footage, and everyone can see for themselves.
Well, they are. That's part of it.
What exactly happened? And I think the American people deserve that. While they have to.
Also, what footage do you think we haven't seen? What exculpatory moment? What singular, like, yeah, he took a shit in the rotunda, but he didn't wipe with the flag. It was actually a roll of paper towels he found in Nancy Pelosi's office. What kind of people do you think we are as taxpayers?
Watch and go through this big cinematic production tonight and carrying on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the American people pay for it, by the way. The American people.
Yeah, there was a giant attack on the fucking Capitol. What was your opinion of the 9/11 Commission or the fucking Warren Commission? Shit matters.
Deserve to see all the video surveillance, not just the little cut and pasted pieces that the January 6th committee is going to show tonight. And most of all, I want to finish with.
Again, I would like to hear, I've heard this bullshit from Trump as well, because he thinks there's parts of this video which include, I guess, the area where cops were waving people in certain doors, where it was abundantly clear we're outmatched, and they're telling each other on the radio, look, we can't cover everybody, but if we let them in one area, we can make sure that they're isolated. We can lock these doors and lock those doors, and we can corral them out another way. We can head them west while we're getting everybody out east. That's our only opportunity. So they came over like, hey, here's a door over here. Come in this way. We'll open this gate. And all these assholes, because they're stupid, and it's an uncoordinated attack, thank God, they were like, yeah, and they ran exactly the direction. It's what saved people's lives. It's what you would call like a tactical withdrawal from a specific area because you want them to flood into that area so that you could save something that's more important.
There is something terrible happening in this process, and it's called defamation of character.
Oh dear. Not what? What? We just got through the Johnny Depp Amber Turd trial, and now we've got another defamation. This is terrible. I mean, it's one thing that a woman was crushed to death, but people are being called names.
The 45th president of the United States.
Oh, okay, so thanks for clarifying that he's not the president right now.
His character is being defamed.
I don't know that it's being defamed. I think they're just showing his complete lack of character. So maybe they get off on a technicality, Marge.
And all of his staff and
all of his staff? Well, not all of his staff. Some of them are testifying against him.
His family and all Republicans. Everyone.
Well, not all Republicans. There's a couple of them on the actual committee, and there's a bunch of them that are like holding their nose and standing back, who are kind of assholes, but maybe salvageable. You're not included in that group, obviously.
Everyone's reputation is being defamed
because of their alignment with this horrible act.
Lies are being told about all of us and President Trump just for politics, and it makes me sick.
It's weird. It's almost like you're using Roseanne Boylan's death just for politics, and that kind of makes me sick. So maybe we're quitsies.
It absolutely disgusts
I don't know why she froze in this moment. The video froze, but that's the quality of the blaze for you, I suppose.
me. If we're supposed to represent the American people and we're
Why is that? I mean, it stopped. It literally. I'm just hearing audio.
supposed to do a good job and uphold
Yeah. When are you going to start?
this place with honor
Yeah. See my earlier question.
and keep its reputation good for the people we
Okay. So far, massive fail, Marge.
serve, then we should be truthful. But what's about to happen tonight is not going to be truthful. It's going to be a political narrative, and it's all for politics.
Well, I mean, you haven't seen it yet. I mean, you can't. So aren't you not being truthful? You're making an assumption. And when you assume, it makes an ass out of you, Enzo. Just you.
And it is sickening. And with that, I'll yield back my time.
Yes, so believe me, you're not the only one who says it's sickening after you yield back your time. So that works.